Hello. Does it say you're live?
Yes, it does. It said
Yeah.
it a few minutes ago.
Good. Very good. I'm trying to see why. There we are. I put us live on I put my YouTube on the iPad, and I use my laptop to talk to you because it's hard for me to have a conversation.
Hello. Does it say you're live?
Yes, it does.
Oh,
It
wait,
said it a
hang
few
on.
minutes ago.
Good. Very good. Okay. Sorry. And then I'm going to go back to the Zoom thing on here so that I can watch you while we're talking, because there's actually a 20-second delay. And everybody that jumps on early hears this same talk all the time. There's a 20-second delay. And so it's easier for me to have a conversation with you while I'm looking at you and seeing you live.
All right.
So, okay, so we have 5 people in the room. We'll probably have somewhere between 30 and 50 people in and out and stuff like that. And by the time it's all over with tomorrow evening, there will be probably about over 1,000 people who have watched it.
Okay.
As time goes on, it'll pick up further. So the first thing I want to do is tell everybody, hey, y'all, if y'all are here, say hi. Say hi so we can know who's in the room, where you're from. I have with us Sargent today, and I'm just going to tell y'all exactly what happened with our roundtable discussion today. Normally, like the last roundtable or on the Monday Daily Mail, I will draw names and see who's going to participate, because I was going to actually try to get Ruth, who had talked about moving to South Africa, back on. I emailed her. She must be really, really busy. She has not emailed back. She did email right after the roundtable and say she's very interested in talking again, but she must be really busy getting situated there in Johannesburg. So I kind of dropped the ball and didn't pick anybody else, draw another name or whatever. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to jump on and draw some cards for the air signs is what I'm going to do, and just let it be a question and answer session. And then I felt a little bit bad, because I thought, well, you know what, roundtable's about everyday people just like us that are talking about their story. And so but in my spirit I heard, don't worry, we're going to provide. And then next thing I know,
I walked into a trap.
next thing I know, this is Sargent, by the way. Kara and I did a mediumship class together a little over a year ago. So next thing I know, Kara's texting myself and another friend of ours, because she and the other girl and I have a birthday coming up. So Kara's like, we have to go to lunch. And I hadn't heard from her in months, from Kara. And then Spirit said to me in my spirit, are you going to call her or what? So I called Kara and I said, hey, how do you feel about impromptu sessions? But this is how Spirit works. Just like last week, this past Tuesday night, for our deep dive, the gentleman who the gentleman that we had scheduled was not able, due to an emergency, to participate. But Spirit knew ahead of time and actually provided, because my friend Ray, I called him 15 minutes and said, hey, can you do a live interview in 15 minutes? And then we talked about this on my roundtable, on my Daily Mail, last night, I think it was. Our soul knows ahead of time. Our soul sees way further in advance than we do. And if we just have that feeling of trust, they're going to provide. So we have a few people in the room right now. Ray, hey Ray, it's good to see you. Tracy, it's nice to see you, from South Carolina. Janice, Salt Lake, awesome. And Sheila from Atlanta, good to see you guys. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce, this is Sargent. She is a licensed professional counselor. And like I said earlier, she and I attended a mediumship class together. And I think of everybody in the class, what I loved so much about Kara was, you've heard me talk, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you've heard me talk about, I feel like this spiritual journey is like I'm at Disney World, and I don't have to worry about what ride I get on, because I feel like spirit is there to protect me and say, oh no, don't go that way because that ride, you're not tall enough for that ride yet. But they allow me to have so much fun as I explore. And that's what I loved about Kara, was she has that spirit, that childlike spirit of adventure and excitement about all of this stuff that's going on about her own spiritual journey. So I'm going to shut up now and let Kara tell you a little bit about herself, and then maybe how she ended up on this journey.
Okay, so as she said, that I am a licensed professional counselor. So my full-time gig is psychotherapy, mainly because I love helping people, and I always say that that's who I am, not what I am. It's very much a part of who I am. So my spiritual journey, I think, like most of you, has been a lifetime journey of determining what is my truth, what is authentic to me. And I'm sure that Cheryl has already covered the fact that spirituality has nothing to do with religion or denomination. And so what I'm going to talk about today has nothing to do with religion. It's everything to do with the sense that I have of my connection to the universe and to the people around me, and what I'm here on earth to do. I believe I'm here with a mission. I think we all are here with a mission. And, she talked about the fact that everything is an adventure for me. And I think that that's my mission, is to take as many people on my adventure as I possibly can and show them how to have fun with it, no matter how difficult it may be.
I love that. That is so clear, such a clear understanding of what you came here to do. And I'm just going to say, and I did get her permission to say this live in front of everybody. Kara is 67 years old, and I'm going to be 55 next Saturday, and we look the same age. She looks like she's only 55, right? Beautiful. And look at that smile. I mean, this woman radiates love and peace from her being. It's absolutely beautiful. So give us one tip about looking so great.
I don't know that I can give you a tip about looking great. I think it's probably genetics and a lot of makeup. I mean, I did run straight to the makeup room when you asked me to do this morning. So, learning how to contour and mask does a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I think just in terms of your youth is radiated from within. And, they say age ain't nothing but a number. And it's about how you feel emotionally and spiritually at any point in your journey. So even at earlier points in my journey, I may have looked older than I actually was because I was going through something difficult. And it was taking its toll on me. So what's very important is that you adopt an attitude of gratitude, so that no matter what you're going through, the positivity comes through. You're always looking for the lesson, because anything you experience, there's something there for you to learn. So I'm always looking for the takeaway. And again, I think that's attributed to my youthful spirit of understanding. I'm here to learn as well as to teach.
Right. I think that's beautiful. Okay, so tell me, in this journey, what was the biggest, because you said it's been kind of like a lifelong journey, and it has nothing to do with religion or denomination. It just has to do with your connection to the universe. What has been for you so far the most profound understanding or awareness that you've received from the universe?
That it will take care of me. If I trust it, if I let go, if I surrender, if I make it clear what my goals are, what I'm doing to achieve those goals, what I need from the universe to support me in the achievement of those goals, and then remain grateful in advance, knowing that the universe will take care of me. That has been the most profound transformation for me. That is a difficult thing for a control freak, is to let go and surrender. And so, even though
Are you a control freak?
You think? Remember, I'm the one that was sitting in my PJs and I wouldn't put on makeup. So that ought to tell you something, right? So anyway, I think that I know that has been the greatest transformation. It's still a day-to-day journey, because sometimes, you there's a song, let it all go and then take it all back. That's what we do sometimes on a day-to-day basis,
That is
particularly when it's not going our way.
right. Right.
Yes.
That's exactly what we do. So so there's a couple different stories that that I want you to tell that I know. And it has to do with manifesting. And one of the stories, I'm going to go to the one that we didn't talk about yet first.
Okay.
About your office space, where you
Yes.
were and where you are now, and how did that all happen? Go ahead.
Okay, so when I first decided to go back into private practice, I picked what the perfect starter office. I wanted to be in a positive environment. I also wanted to be some place where I didn't have to freak out money wise. I wanted it to be fairly easy financially. So I began to outgrow, I think, that office. The building didn't feel so much as home, and I voiced that to my energy coach, and she said to me, "You've outgrown that office. You need to find another place." So at that point, I started envisioning what I wanted my office to look like, what I wanted it to be, and what type of building that I want it to be, and what kind of people that I want around me at that time. And I went to a meeting of a group that I belonged to and just happened to mention, y'all, I need a new office. And one of the guys there had just bought a building, and he said, "Okay, I just bought a building. We're gutting it. Let me take you over there. You tell me where you want your office and what you want it to look like, and I'll build it there for you." Miracle. Just that. It was just that.
Okay, so let's talk about because the universe does provide even bigger and better than we can imagine. So let's talk about your budget. I'm sure you had a budget that you had to be within. How did that work out?
So this is where the surrender part comes in. I had to trust that the universe would provide clients, that they would actually come, because it's a little further out of town. And I had some hesitation about that. And my coach kept saying to me, "Let it go, trust it. It will happen. Your guides will tell you what to do and when to do it." So originally I gave a end of July date to leave the original office, but things kind of started slowing down with construction of the new one because of weather and things. So I ended up not moving until October. But the day that I moved into that office, I got 5 new clients. The day
incredible
I moved into that office, I got 5 new clients. And so my clientele has been building since then. It's been steady since then. So the universe has definitely provided beyond my wildest dreams.
Yes, I love that. And so one of the things you said was we have to let go, we have to surrender it. And are we surrendering not just the control, but the worry? Is it or do you hold on a little bit to the worry? What is, because I talk about often, and again, people who watch my channel a lot and watch my readings hear me talk about that, taking our thoughts captive and not allowing those worries to get into our heart. Can you talk about that? What is your method for doing that?
My method for doing that is something I actually call circular conversation. And it's a technique that I use even in my therapy. And when you start getting that negative mindset, sometimes you just have to talk to yourself about it and have an active conversation with yourself about it and acknowledge that you have a concern. And remember, there's not a whole lot you can do to control these things. So my favorite 3 letters are FCC. And this is like
F?
It's the letter F.
Okay.
C.
Okay.
So that's my code word for chill out. Okay. So F, can you fix it? So whatever's going on in your mind right now, can you really fix this? No. Okay. Can you change this? Because if you can change it, do it. But if you can't, move on. And can you control it? Can you fix it, change it, control it? And if the answer is no, then it's just not of any value to hold on to the worry. So that's my code for releasing it. When I say FCC and run through those things, if I can't answer yes to any of those, then I have to deep breathe and let it go. And just be grateful for acknowledging how I'm feeling in the moment. Be grateful for the helplessness that I may be feeling in the moment. And be grateful again in advance that the universe is going to take care of this for me.
Yes. Kind of like this morning, whenever I dropped the ball, I couldn't fix it. I couldn't change it. I couldn't control it. And then the universe said, we'll provide. And so I just had peace, and I had my little plan of what I was going to do, but I couldn't worry about it.
Yes.
I couldn't worry about it. But then whenever you started texting, it was like spirit said to me, are you going to call her? And I'm like, oh, okay.
And I think this was also great for me. I'm honored that you asked me to do this, actually.
Well,
thank
good.
you.
I am so glad. I love you to pieces.
I love you.
Okay, so now let's talk about the other story. And I'm just going to say real quick, I showed you a while back a book that I contributed to my team, this channel, our community, a book that I contributed to, a story that made a difference in my life. And Kara has actually done the same thing with a different book, and is titled, what is it titled?
Manifestations.
Manifestations, taking our dreams.
I used it as a prop for my iPad.
Oh, well, that's okay. You don't have to show us. Okay,
there you go. Manifestations.
And it's actually not for sale yet, but it's going to be for sale real soon. But tell us, kind of give us the overview of the story in there, and the steps that you take to manifest.
Okay, so the story is that a while back, not so long ago, 2013, I made a series of poor decisions that caused me to lose everything in my life, actually.
How long ago?
2013.
Okay, so just 7 years ago.
Yes, just 7 years ago. I made a decision that literally devastated my life. Lost my job, lost literally everything, and ended up spending some time in prison because of that decision. And when I came out, I had 3 years probation. And also in that process, I lost my counseling license. So I literally lost everything. So while I was away, I made the best of the time that I was away to learn what I could about myself. I absolutely regret the decision I made to get me there, but I don't regret the experience because I learned so much. And by the time I finished my time there, I developed a reentry course for the women. And I felt like there was not only a purpose there for me to teach, but there was a purpose there for me to learn. And I think I learned a lot. So, generally somebody who's had that experience is considered unhireable. And I decided to reject that and started telling myself, 2 months prior to being released, I'm going to be released on December 15th. I will be starting a new job January 1st. And when I got out, a day or so after I got out, I got a phone call from the gym that I used to attend saying, guess what? We bought a bigger gym. We want you to come manage the gym. So literally on January 2nd, I walked into my new job.
Wow.
So, and then that entire time, everybody kept telling me, you are a therapist. You need to go back to doing that. And I, again, had to surrender my license because of it. And I had kind of put that chapter to bed. But there was still a yearning in my heart to do that. Well, the board reached out to me and said that based on your crime, that you should enter the Impaired Professional Program. And it's a 3-year program that allows you to engage in activities to strengthen your mental health and learn some other things so that you, again, can be a functioning professional. And so I made the decision. I mean, they gave me that offer, and at first I kind of was like, yeah. But the offer,
your ego says, I'm not impaired.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But that offer came again. And I thought, okay, got it, got the message. So I entered the program, which meant I had to be supervised again and go through a kind of a counseling internship again. But also while doing that, I really began to manifest in my mind's eye that that was something that I wanted, and I really was missing it. And so I ended up writing an article, a monthly article for a newspaper on mental health, ended up doing some TV spots on mental health. And then on July 1st, 2017, I opened up my little starter office. I was still under supervision at the time, so I could only have a minimal amount of clients. And so then when I decided I wanted to do this full time and go back to doing it full time, I was reinstated fully my license on December 15th. That's becoming a magical day for me.
Right.
2018. And in 2019, I moved full time back into therapy. It's been an amazing journey, an amazing life. And I feel that that experience gives me a better way of helping my clients.
Right.
I'm not talking to you from an ivory tower, and I'm not talking to you from things that I learned only in a book. I'm now talking to you from some serious experiences.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so sometimes whenever we're looking, I told a story the other day about this guy who says, oh, I want to be just like you. And so the guru says, meet me at the beach. He holds his head under the water, and the little guy says, pops back up finally after struggling, and the man says, what did you want while you were under there? He said, to breathe. He said, when you want success as much as you want to breathe, that's when you'll find it. So it made me think about, or your story's making me think about that, because I'm thinking about how our ego can get in the way of us sometimes. And so while you're under supervision and seeing this minimal amount of clients, I'm assuming that this board or somebody on your evaluation team had to have a conversation with your clients. Did they?
My supervisor did. My supervisor would interact with my clients every now and then just to see what kind of work I was doing, whether they were comfortable seeing me, whether I was being effective in that position. Now, what I do really want to make clear is that this decision that I made had nothing to do with my practice.
Right.
Had nothing to do with my counseling. It was just fallout. Losing my license was just fallout from the decision that I made. So, but the most interesting thing about this story is the person who my concern was at my age, who is going to want to supervise a counseling intern who's been a therapist for 30 years. That's kind of intimidating. And it turned out that the person who supervised me was one of my interns many years ago.
Oh, wow.
Wow, right?
Right.
So, again, it was one of those, the universe has your back.
Yes, the universe does have our back. Whenever we can really grab a hold of that, I feel like life would just move simpler. I don't know, I think. Okay, so now let's talk about the mediumship class.
Okay.
What prompted you to go? I mean, you're a licensed professional counselor. You're this very intelligent woman who definitely has some experience, some life experience to share with people. But most of the time, I would think
in my head.
Counselors are in their head. Yeah. So what in the world sends you to a mediumship class?
So ever since I was a child, I used to see things, and my mom was okay with that. My mom actually was the first one who mentioned that to me. She used to tell me, I talked to Bunny, that was her grandmother. I talked to Bunny whenever I'm sad. And as a child, it was like, okay, Mom, when you die, stay gone. I don't want to talk to dead people. And so that was the running joke, don't come back. But as I got older and started having my own experiences, I became a little more open to them, probably because my mom had introduced me to them. And then when my mom did finally pass, my first request of her was, please come back and talk to me. And she did. And so it's something that I've been curious about ever since. And so I wanted to learn how to, there's a lot of traffic in our house sometimes. And so basically it was about learning how to control that traffic and what to do with that traffic. And I've never felt frightened by any of the traffic. The dogs freak out every now and then, but, and we know when the dogs freak out, don't go anywhere near whatever's in the kitchen, because they're usually in the kitchen. So that's what started that journey for me, was just sheer curiosity. But the doors that bit of curiosity opened for me were just amazing.
Right. So what kind of doors has that opened?
Well, because I took the class with you all, and you all had all already taken the intuition class, which I knew that a lot of what I do is based on my gut, but I didn't know that I could train my gut. And that for me has been the absolute most wonderful thing, is learning to trust my gut, learning to trust my intuition, learning that I have a good intuition, a good sense of people, and it's accurate and it's dead on. And I think it just gave me the validation that I needed to just sit comfortably with the feelings in my gut.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna expound on that a little bit, but I want to go in and look at the where we're at here on the communication, the chat. And oh, Tracy Betty says, wow, I love that the universe will take care of me, when we were talking about that other stuff earlier. And thank you for sharing. Very brave of you. Okay, so Ray Havlin wants to know, was 2013 a 9-year for you as far as numerology goes? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. Somebody said, sounds like their experience. Hello, everyone. Thelma, South Africa is in the house. Would love to take a mediumship class. Sounds amazing. Good morning from Chicago. Inner spirit is truth. Okay, so we don't have any questions really right now, except for that one about the numerology, and you don't know. So inner spirit is truth. That's what Kelly says from Good News. He says inner spirit is truth, and that's what you're talking about. So how do you train your intuition?
Our instructor, as you know, we do a lot of exercises that we learn to intuit the energy in the room. And we learn to, when we were intuiting colors, and we were trying to in my verbology on that day, guess what the colors were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll guess if that's what you want me to do. You remember, pretty attitudinal in the class.
Yeah.
When you were in the class, I got full of attitude in the class.
Yeah, but you had the attitude in the mediumship class too.
Yes, yeah. It's an interesting kind of transition, because you're with all of these really powerful people, and I feel like I'm the kid in the room, and I am very much in terms of this journey. And so sometimes the energy is intimidating, and again, that's the story that I tell myself, is that I'm supposed to be better. And I had to get out of that. I had to get out of that. But also I had to understand sometimes that the energy was overwhelming to me. And I had to learn how to shield myself, how to protect myself, so that I didn't absorb this barrage of energy, because I'm very sensitive to the energy in the room. Mm-hmm. So the way that I learned to intuit things is my gut really does speak to me. When I ask it a question, it will respond to me. And I can tell by the way it's responding to me what direction I should go in, or whether my sense of things is accurate. If somebody walks in a room and I get a cold feeling and my gut kind of halts, that's my gut saying, you're gonna kind of stand back for a minute. Going on. And so that's basically how I make decisions in my life. I say, so does this sound like a good idea? And I'm always talking to myself. Well, people think I'm talking to myself, but I'm actually talking to my guides. But anyway, and they answer.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so whenever you get a message, is it always the same way, or do they communicate with you in different ways? Because my guides will communicate with me in different ways. What is your experience?
Different ways. Sometimes it's that little voice in the back of your head.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the gut. Sometimes it's a dream. And sometimes for me, I get a feeling that I call a disturbance in the force. And it just feels like for a second, things are half a bubble off. Like everything in the room is kind of just shifted a little bit. And it's almost like this blurring of vision, and then things get clear again. And for me, that is generally a message that there's something uncomfortable in the offing, something uncomfortable in the wind. And generally within 24 to 48 hours, whatever that is will be revealed. So what I'm learning to do now is to tune into that gift so that maybe I can pull out the information that I think my guides are trying to hand to me. If I can help somebody with that information or prevent something with that information, I'd like to be able to do that.
Right. Right. So it's about, well, we have about 30 minutes left. So if y'all want to start asking questions, y'all can definitely do that. When you dream and you bring it into the now, does that mean that there's something amiss? When you dream and you bring it into the now, does that mean that there is something amiss? I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question either. Ask them if they would be willing to clarify that question, because I'm not even sure I know where to go with that question.
Yeah, Gail, can you clarify that exactly what you're talking about, bringing it into the now? Is that the part you don't understand, Kara? Yes, that's the part she doesn't understand. What do you mean bringing it into the
Type
now?
of lucid dreaming?
Huh? Sorry?
Is she talking about some type of lucid dreaming?
I don't know.
Okay.
See, Gail, see if you can clarify that for us a little bit. So if you were talking to a room full of people and you had one message that you wish everybody could understand, we talked I think I know what it's going to be, and I may have asked it in the beginning, but if you just had one message that you could get out, and what would that message be?
It's hard for me to separate it, but it's actually it really is a twofold message.
Okay.
The first thing is trust your gut. Trust your gut and be grateful. Always be grateful. No matter how uncomfortable it is in the moment, something good is going to come out of it. You're going to learn something. I tell my clients everything has two sides. And so when you're, looking at the dark side of the coin, flip it over and find the light, because it's there. I promise you. If you just flip it over and look at it and learn how to look at it a different way. There's always a positive lesson. There's always something good that's going to come. The universe is just that way. It wants our best. And if we step aside and allow that to happen, that is exactly what will happen. But we get in our own way.
We get in our own way. How do we get in our way?
We start second guessing. When we say, okay, universe, I want this to happen. I would like to see this. I'm asking for this. I deserve this. I've worked for this. I trust this is what will come. And then when it doesn't show up tomorrow, we start moving the pieces on the chessboard so that it'll happen. And so patience is part of this journey too. And you just step back and trust that the universe will give to you what will bring you to your highest good. And sometimes what we ask for is not always what's going to bring us to our highest good. Okay,
so let's talk about that, because I did a reading one time, and I remember this specifically because this girl said, and it was basically that, is that the universe wants to bring you to your highest good. Try not, like manifesting a mate, try not to put your idea on a certain person, because the universe is going to bring you who is the best person for you. And one girl said, well, then I feel like I'm settling. And it's like, no, because the
universe, how can the universe best be settling?
Right. Well, because the universe is part of our soul. It's God's
Yes,
work in us. So it
yes,
knows what turns us on, what makes us happy, what makes our hearts sing. It knows better
yes,
than we know, because we've gotten
yes.
this mind, right? Um, okay, let's see. She might have okay, she trusts her gut and she doesn't second guess herself. When you dream, okay, wait. When you can't shake the dream off, that's what she's saying to clarify it. When you can't shake the dream off, I dream about something happening, and after waking up, the dream stays with her. Does that mean, okay, so that's what she's saying. So whenever you have a dream and you just can't shake it, is there something amiss that you need to address, or what's that about? It depends on the dream, I guess.
It depends on the dream, number one. But number two, I would take a look at the pattern. If it's and by pattern, I don't necessarily mean the same dream all the time, a recurring dream, but even the same type of dream. That's the dream that um sets off that same uncomfortable feeling. If you're beginning to have that on a continual basis, then I would say yes, the universe is trying to send you a message. And sometimes you have to just be still, and I don't necessarily mean sit in a meditative state. It could mean taking a walk. It could mean just being turning off the music. It could be saying, universe, what are you trying to tell me? I'm not getting this message. Can you please make this more clear for me? I need this in a different language. You're giving it to me in French. I need it in English. You know?
Yes.
So that would be my recommendations. Pay attention to the pattern, because I mean, we do have uncomfortable dreams. And I don't study dreams. I'm always seeking interpretations of my dreams also. But sometimes a dream is just a dream. Sometimes a dream is just you trying to resolve something. It's not always a message. So I would say take a look at the kind of dream it is and see if it resonates with you in any way. If the feeling brings you back to a previous feeling, then I'm almost thinking it's you trying to resolve something. If you're not familiar with the feeling and it's bringing you something new, then I would say it's the universe saying just kind of be on the lookout. And the
Yeah,
next time you're in a situation, you have that same feeling, then maybe that's the connection.
right. Okay, so let's go back to your message, because you said it was twofold, and you talked to us about making sure to look at for the light on the other side of the coin and all that. So what's the other part of that message?
Surrender,
Surrender.
surrender, surrender.
Yeah,
Let it go. It's not going to come in your time. It's going to come when the universe really feels like you're ready to handle it. And
yeah,
sometimes things we want, we're not ready to handle. I
right.
know when I opened my private practice, and I joke about that now, that my sense of things was if I build it, they will come. And they did. But a year later, it occurred to me, wait a minute, this is a business. You can't just sit here. You have paperwork to do. You have things that you have to do to run this business, to maintain this business, to grow this business. And that could have been a catastrophe all on its own.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so one of my messages, and I'm going to let you speak on it, but one of my messages is we really can't beat ourselves up. We can't let our past define our future. So if we're in this rut where we just can't get out of our head about our past mistakes or our past hurts or the anger and stuff. I was listening to Wayne Dyer just a little bit earlier, and he was saying the past is the wake. The wake, when you're going
Mm-hmm.
in a boat, the wake is behind you. That's the past. And the wake doesn't direct the future. But but FCC was great for things that we can't control. But how do we let go of things that don't serve us from our past?
One of the reasons that we hold on to things from our past is that it does serve us in some kind of way. And
Oh,
sometimes the harsh truth of that is that we hang on to them because we're familiar with the misery that it causes. And it's
so
it
wait a minute. So what you're saying is hanging on to something means that it is serving you in some way, but not necessarily in a good way.
right.
Okay,
That's
go
exactly what
ahead.
I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
My experience in therapy is sometimes people get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and changing that up is more scary than sitting in the misery. So that serves a purpose. It keeps your life stable. This is what you know, this is what you're comfortable with. If you don't shake this up, you're fine. You already know how to navigate this. My job is to shake that up. My job is to get you to take a look at what life would be without carrying this weight around. And the key way of doing that is about forgiveness. It's about acknowledging that you made a mistake and accepting that you are not your mistake. And that's a hard lesson to learn.
And
I
how
am.
go ahead. You what?
I had to constantly tell myself, you are not your mistake. You made a mistake. This is not who you are. This is something you've never done before. This is a rare occurrence. You learned, you paid your debt back. You learned the lesson that you needed to learn, and learned a whole heck of a lot more in the process. And I am not that person. I am not that mistake. That mistake is a chapter in my life. That mistake was information that I needed to have that I wouldn't have gotten any other way.
What about, I love that. I love what you're saying. But also, what about when we're hanging on to the hurt that somebody else caused in our life?
That too is about.
Is there some responsibility that we have to take? And please repeat what you just said, because I didn't hear it.
That too is about forgiveness.
Okay.
Even when we're holding on to something that somebody has done to us in the past. Again, that's still comfort. We are comfortable with that anger or resentment, or sometimes we're comfortable being victims. And it's hard to shake that. It's hard to shake that. And I'm so, I hope that anybody who's out there that has been a victim understands that I'm not saying that this is your fault or you should, because I hate that word should, be able to take it. It's hard, however, when you live a life with that story hanging over your head, it's hard to let it go, because it becomes literally part of your tapestry. So the game at that point is to make that a smaller piece of your tapestry. And it just becomes a chapter in the book of your life, not the defining moment in the book of your life. And it takes hard work to do that. It's not an easy thing to do.
Sometimes we say, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor, but we still have the anger. And that anger, I feel like that anger is still not healthy for us. That's my opinion, but I'm not saying that because I'm so wonderful and I never get angry, but because I have walked in anger before. I've walked in anger and frustration and said, I am not a victim. I am, I am a survivor, and I am blah, blah, blah. And nobody's going to ever hurt me like that again. And then this wall goes up, right?
Yes. So anybody who is still walking and functioning today after a traumatic event is absolutely a survivor. But what I like to do is challenge you to become a different kind of survivor. I would like to see you thrive, not just survive.
Right.
And so that's what then becomes the challenge. Once you begin to identify that you are not a victim, that you are a survivor, then let's see you move to the next step of thriving, and then creating a new life that puts that event in the perspective of a past and not something that affects you on a day-to-day basis. Not that you'll forget it, and not that it won't still have some pain attached to it.
Right.
But we want to work to discharge some of the energy that event closed down with.
Right. Okay, so I'm going back here. See where we're at. You can't shake it when you're waking up. Cheryl, where can I get a personal? Oh, Tracy, you can email me at spiritmailtarot@gmail.com. Seek to be a higher good first. Let go of the rest. That's from Good News. I'm looking for a question here. I'm not seeing any more questions. To let go of the anger, you have to learn forgiveness even when you don't feel forgiveness is deserved. Yeah.
Yes.
They're saying hi from Iowa. I think
Hi, Iowa.
hi. Everybody's saying hi everywhere. Okay, so now I have another question. Sagicorn, greetings to all. God bless you and your families. Thank you, Sagicorn. It's good to see you in here. Best of tests. Thank you both. You're welcome. Valerie, hello from Iowa. That's Iowa or Iowa. I don't know for sure how you say it. Okay, so let's talk about one of the first things you said coming on is that you're talking about your connection with the universe. Nothing of that has to do with religion or denomination, but were you raised to believe the way you believe now? I mean, were you always that way? What is your background?
I was raised in the Congregational church. I eventually converted to Catholicism. My mom, however, was very open in her approach. She very much was a proponent of universal power, very much a proponent of energy work.
Really?
Yes, yes. Actually, in one of the medium sessions that I did, she came through and said that she wished that these services had been available to her when she was around. So she always believed in the power of energy. She always believed that we connected to people on an energetic level. And so always encouraged me very much to always put out a positive energy, because then that's what would come back to me. So I can't say that I grew up. I mean, as a young kid, yes, we went to church every Sunday.
Yes.
That's just what you do as a family. You put your child in the church so that they learn values and morals and things like that. But the advantage for me is that our parents allowed us to seek our own and create our own experiences, and we're not so tied all the time to the church. As we got older and more capable of asking intelligent questions about different religions or different practices, and when they began to see that we were actually seeking our own truth and our own authenticity, then they allowed us to freely seek those things. So in my home, I was always able to ask any question I wanted to
That's
ask.
beautiful. Yeah, that's very beautiful. And it's just, let's think about things. Let's think about it from an intelligent perspective.
Right.
Okay, so
right.
let's see if we have Janet Lamointe says, my gut feeling is never what I would do. Before a personal reading, had a question before the personal reading. Oh, I missed it, Tracy. Let me see. Where can I get a personal reading? Let's go back. Tracy had another question. I'm going to look for it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so bad at this chat screen. Tracy, Cheryl, where can I? Okay, Tracy, I'm not seeing your other question. Tracy. Oh, wait. No, I'm not seeing another question, Tracy. So if you could just repeat the question, that would be great. Have you heard of Dr. Bradley Nelson's emotion code? Have you heard of Dr. Bradley Nelson's emotion code? Cindy, you're always talking about that. You must be a practitioner. Have you ever heard of that, Kara?
I've heard of it. I'm not a practitioner. I'm not skilled in it at all, but I have heard of it.
Yeah. And what we've talked about that before on this channel, and even Ray, who I don't know if he's still on here, but we were talking about that. He works with his spirit guides all the time, and we talked about emotions being trapped in us, and that we can carry them from lifetime and lifetime again.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what do you do whenever you have a client that you're working with and you just can't figure out where that trapped emotion's from? What is your practice to release it?
Well, the good news is that I'm now a bars practitioner. So I've now gotten, when I get hold of a client that I really feel is not necessarily a therapeutic issue, because it's important that or maybe it's my bias, I don't know. but maybe it's me trying to keep my job, right? Um,
Maybe you're trying to control things.
yeah, it's me trying to control things. So if I get hold of a client that I really feel is stuck and it really isn't an emotional health issue or a mental health issue, then I am open to different kinds of modalities. One of the things I do is hypnotherapy, which would allow me to put them in a trance state and see if we can basically search around and find out, is there something that they're blocking or hiding? And obviously this is the cognitive training part of me. But now that I have learned to become a bars practitioner, when my gut, again, here we go with the gut, when my gut tells me we're dealing with some trapped energy, then I will talk to the client about that, having that experience and allowing me to run their bars to remove energy blockages. And that's the other wonderful thing about my practice, is that I'm getting clients in who are open to different things.
Right.
And open to talking about energy and stones and intuition and the universe. And
Right.
that's the other change that has happened since I've been on this journey.
Yeah. Okay, so Tracy's question actually was, since she's new to this journey, and this would be a question for anybody who's just starting to venture out into this spiritual journey, where we realize that we're so much bigger than what we thought, and that our connection with spirit is so much more intimate than we ever could have imagined. She said, is there a class I need to take? What's like the first things I need to do? What's your idea of that? What?
The first thing I did, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading of different genres. I do a lot of spirituality reading. I do a lot of reading about contemplative practices, reading about energy work, reading about mindset. I do a lot of reading on mindset because your mindset is very, very important.
Right.
And then at some point, I hit a difficult time that I was just stuck in this kind of place. And for me, stuck is feeling that way for 3 days. Okay, so for me, that's stuck.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine said, you need to go get a energy healing. And I'm like, okay. So I did that. And the lightness that I felt after that was amazing. And that, I think, was the beginning of my full on focused journey into what I am here to be and what can I possibly become now.
Right. And I'm going to weigh in a little bit on that and just say, sit with yourself and ask spirit to show you where do I go next? What's the first thing I should do? Let spirit talk to you. Let spirit drop books in your lap or video lectures on your YouTube channel. The YouTube is so full of valuable information, such valuable information. And yes, there's some people out there that are saying things that I don't necessarily agree with, but if it works for them, that's perfect for them. There's no right or wrong way to approach this journey. And I think the most important thing we can do is get still and let spirit speak to us from within, because that's where all real truth and knowledge comes from. I think the intelligence within us, that infinite intelligence within us. So I'm not seeing any more questions.
Cheryl, say one thing. You asked me what is the one thing that I would say above all else. And when people ask that question, your brain just kind of stops.
Right.
But I think my answer to that actually would be, there are no coincidences. Right. Everything happens for a reason. And as soon as we understand that, the sooner we embark on that transformational journey, that everything falls exactly as it should. And so if when something that seems a little, well, that's odd. No, it's not odd. It's not a coincidence. Someone's dropping a wall in front of you, so you'll stop long enough to pay attention. Right. So there are no coincidences.
There are no coincidences, right? And guys, we're reaching the top of the hour. Little Heavenly Treasure says, when you find that a client's dealing with owed energy, have you ever found it to be from one of their past lives? Or do you not delve into it from that aspect? Do you just want to just release it? Is it
I
important?
just released it. I
Yeah.
just released it. But yes, I have had a client when I've done access bars that I could sense their energy that they were carrying was from a past life.
From the past life.
But I've never done past life work. So yes.
Okay. Let's see. I use Lloyd Mears energy balancing by numbers. Okay, Cindy, I love that. Love yourself, love God, and love others. That's all we need to do. Sagicorn, yes, I agree with that. Let's see, am I missing anything else up here? Okay, no. Listen, guys, if you want to reach Kara, if they want to reach you, how can they reach you?
Okay, so my website, my counseling center is called Peace from Pieces, because life can shatter us into a million little pieces sometimes. So my job here is to help you put those pieces back together and find peace. So my website is peacefrompieces.net. Or is it
So it's
peacefrompieces.net.
PEACE from pieces, PIECES.
Yes.
.net. Okay.
So that is the best way you can message me through my website.
Okay, great. Okay, so people are now starting to say thank you. Thank you for being thank you. I'm going to say thank you so much for allowing us to visit with you today, and I am so grateful that that I do also listen to that little voice within that says, well, are you gonna call her? Before we hang up, though, I do want to, I always do it either on the day of the Daily Mail or when I on the day of the roundtable, or when I do Daily Mail. I'm gonna draw for our next roundtable guest, if you don't mind giving us a few more minutes. So we're going to have, I'm going to be reaching back out to Blessed Oracle. I think that's her name. That we had an email mess up where we weren't able to connect, but she did say that she would be willing to do it. So I'm gonna pull 2 other names and see who else can come on and visit with us. Jan Carr, yay Jan. Jan Carr, and I have her email address. I'll be emailing Jan. And GGP, no email GG, so I'm going to pull somebody else, but call me or email me if you want to do that. And Sophia Musino. So I've got 4 names here. Blessed Oracle, I'll be calling you or emailing you. I always say call, and that's not what I do.
Nobody uses phones anymore.
Nobody uses, except to text and email and check, all that stuff. Yeah. GGP, Sophia Musino, Jan Carr, and Blessed Oracle for next week. Y'all, everybody who's tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in. And Kara, again, thank you so much for jumping on at the last minute like that for me. And I love you to pieces. Y'all all go out and have a super duper Saturday. I'm going to play with my grandkids. I'll see y'all on Monday.
Guys, next week is her birthday. So week after next is her birthday. So make sure you wish her happy birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all have a super day. Bye.
Bye-bye.